Hi, welcome to Understanding Conscious Cryptids with me, Kat Hansen, your host. Hi everyone. I hope everyone's had a wonderful week and is enjoying their weekend so far. It's me, Kat, and I'm here to talk to you today a little bit about Bigfoot because some people have kind of written me and asked me how come I don't speak about them so much. And I actually think I do, but apparently I don't speak enough about them. So what I wanted to talk about today was the fact that these are not apes. People want to consider them apes, but they are not. They are people that are going through, well, I should say, have gone through a de-evolution, and they are again on the upswing now. Their numbers are rising again, and I wanted to share the fact that when I say they are beings or people, I mean that literally. There was a time in their history where they actually had towns, or I guess you could call them settlements, throughout the North American continent and some down into the South American continent. There were specific people in most of the tribes of Amerindians that were able to have one person or maybe two who could actually communicate with these beings. And I do know this for a fact because, as I've said before, I give lessons on the language that they speak, and an ape doesn't have that. Cannot communicate with a human being in the wild and make itself understood. Whereas these guys can. They have a spoken and a sign language. Now, I'm not saying they talk like you and I do, because it's a very basic language, and it doesn't have the ability and the sophistication that the English language has. But it does have a way to make them understood pretty well. Between the sign language and the spoken language, you pretty much get the gist of what they're telling you. Okay? So I want people to understand that they can talk and they can express happiness, joy, sadness, and anger. Frustration is real obvious when they want to express that. They also do primitive artwork. And by primitive, I am in no way discrediting or saying that it lacks in sophistication, because to me it does. It's very sophisticated. I put up a picture in here so that you can see the canyon wall where after a flash flood they decided to play in the caliche, which is a type of caliche mud. It's a type of clay mud that is all over this area, and you can see their handprints, and they're absolutely huge compared to human handprints. And they're very high up on the wall. There's no way I can reach them. It was their own little primitive way of marking the canyon wall, and watching them do it, they were so happy to be doing it. It was almost like a family playtime to do it. And I thought that was really interesting. And as an archaeologist, I got to looking at their artwork when they were done, and it reminds me so much of the cave work, that you see the art in the cave work, especially Lascaux. You can see the handprints, and we have those all over the Southwest, by the way, handprints that the indigenous peoples put up as markers. So these guys follow right along in that path, and they're doing it too. So do I think that's a learned behavior? Is it acquired, or is it something that's, instilled in them? And I think that it's instilled. It's almost like a human reaction, and I've said very, very many times the fact that these guys are human-like. They are, for all intents and purposes, our brothers. That's why I always say I am my brother's keeper, because their attributes are more human than they are animal. And I know there's some people out there that are going to disagree with me on this, but I would ask those people, have you had more than one interaction? Because I am still waiting for the proof that people are being outright attacked from the Bigfoot beings. I don't believe that. I don't accept it, and I'm waiting for someone to come show me physical proof of that, because these guys are the most patient people I've ever known. If you don't get their message, for instance, they'll put up the big X, and you don't get that, vibe from them that it means don't enter, and you keep doing it, then the next thing they'll do is go to a 10-foot X, maybe 2 or 3 of them. They keep putting up markers in the attempt to let whatever human that's close by that's bugging them know, hey, you know what, this is our home, we don't want you here. They don't attack you. Not like that. They will chase you, but how many people in this in this world have chased a dog off of their, out of their house or off their land when they've seen a stray dog? You chase it, you don't want it there, or a cat, whatever. There's an animal on your property and you don't want it there. Okay, you have people come onto your property. What's the logic thing that you do? You ask them to leave, and if they don't leave, then you post up a no soliciting, no trespassers, do not disturb. You go the whole route, and that's what these guys have done. Okay, so this is not an animal. These are beings that are thinking, and to a certain extent have logic. Okay, these guys could figure this stuff out, and they have pretty much shown everybody, this is what I'm saying, you're not listening to me, you're not getting it. So they think we're pretty dense sometimes, So we think that they're not intelligent. Well, they think we're not intelligent because we can't seem to understand their markers that they are putting up, telling us to leave them alone. They don't want communication. Okay, by that same token, they do give markers to people that they want to have interactions with. They leave them gifts. They let them see them. They get them to follow them. They do all sorts of things to make themselves known. And I have always thought they're the perfect neighbor. I know that sounds crazy, but I do. I don't have to worry about them playing loud rock and roll music. I don't have to worry about them smoking drugs and turning their house into a crack house. Their children are pretty much well behaved because they monitor their children to a certain extent. I'm not saying that they're the perfect parent and walk around twisting the kid's ear all the time, but they do allow them a sense of freedom. But with freedom comes discipline. So they are a people, and I need for people to understand that. Another one of the pictures here in the video shows some weavings into a tree, and these are pretty new to me, and I find them fascinating because when I asked about them, I was told I have these things in my home, and I didn't understand and they don't have a word for window. So they kept telling me, see you, see you, see you. And when I finally figured out, I got to looking at it, and I said, you know what? It is a window. It looks just like a square window, from their version of it. And then I've seen several more that they've woven together with small, that look like little small 6-inch paned windows. And once I understood that and saw the weaving that they had done in this tree, I realized directly across from that tree, as you're facing it, if you were to look right to the right, you would see that there was a very small, skinny X, within 10 feet of it. And I was like, wow, they put up the X to tell people don't come in here. And now they've given people this, what they are showing people is, look, we have a window. If you want to look through the window. Don't look at us. Don't come back here. Look through the window, which I thought was so cute. I was like, oh my heck, you guys are awesome. They can pick up things from humans and they use them. They are very good at mimicry. They are very good at what they do. So human speech is not a big obstacle to them. They've learned many, many languages here in the United States, and through South America and up through Canada. They've learned French. They've learned various native tongues. They've learned English. They don't know all of the English words. They just know the words that they have heard and they've mimicked. You hear some of them do the sing-song, almost like samurai talking, and it reminds you, when you listen to it, it reminds you of several Asian dialects. Well, that's because when they were here building the railroads across the United States up into Canada, they had mostly employed Chinese workers, and these guys had their own language. Well, the Stayama listened over the years and picked it up. They're very good at what they're doing. This is not an ape. An ape could not pick up language like this, and incorporate it into their skill set so that they could use it. So there's one of the main reasons that I always think of them as people, and that's why I address them as people, because they have societal rules. They don't allow for harm of another a female especially. Oh my heck, something bad's gonna go down over that. And I had talked before about Kyosa going after Scunny. Scunny is my nemesis. He has been my nemesis since I was almost 5 and met these guys. He has always remained on the outskirts. He does not like humans. He tolerates me, and that is with the nicest thing that I can say about tolerating, because he makes it every chance he gets about trying to scare me away. And I'm not going to lie, it has gotten physical between him and I a few times. I've been pushed, and shoved and bumped and smacked, but there again, that's one person. How many of you can say that you've never met anyone that didn't like you? And think about this for a minute too. I want people to understand this. These guys are huge. We're talking 9 feet, 10 feet tall, almost 1,000 pounds. When they take a tree that's 20 feet tall and can snap it off, to make the X's. Think about that for a minute, the strength, the brute strength that takes. Now think about most of the encounters that you've ever heard where these guys have attacked, and I want that in quotes, attacked people, they've come away with scratches and scared to death, and maybe they got pushed down. Okay? Does that sound like someone that is going out of their way to hurt you? No, it doesn't. These guys have done nothing but try to leave humans alone. They don't want to hurt you. Why? Well, I think it's because they see us as their kin, just like I say, my brother, they are my brothers, and they are flesh, no different, people, different flesh, that's all they are, they're just a little bit different, and it never ceases to amaze me how many people want to look at them like an ape, and then I have to think back, there again, as an archaeologist, and a sociology major, I have to wonder, do you look at them as an animal because it's easier for you to accept the fact that these are animals, and therefore people can be allowed to treat them as they would an animal, And to me, it almost goes back to slavery with me, because I see how people approach the subject of Bigfoot study. They're like, oh, it's an ape, it's a dumb ape, don't worry about it. It doesn't have any brains, it can't, it can't do anything. We'll catch it and we'll kill it and we'll study it. Well, gee, if I remember right, in history we went back and they did the same things to the slaves, during the slavery. They captured them, brought them over. American doctors, ran horrible tests on the African black man and woman. They ran horrible tests on them, and akin to, and I'm serious here, akin to Hitler type testing. They did autopsies on them, gave them drugs to test, their resistance to them, things that they wouldn't give to a white person per se, but they would give to the black people to test them and see, well, if this makes them sick, we can't eat this, or if this medicine kills them, well, we got to go back to the drawing board. Well, I look at the way that these people were treated, and I look at the way that they treat Stayama when I say they're human. People don't want to accept that they're human-like, because that would be too much of an issue, And there again, it's really something that's on my mind lately, because as we progress and go forward in our evolutionary, in culture here, we have to understand and accept that there are other people on this planet that share this planet, that share this continent with us, but yet do not wish to be, for the most part, associated with us. I think that's another part of the problem, in that we can't accept the fact that, hey, we're human and we want to be your friend, so we're going to impose ourselves on you, and you're going to be our friend, whether you like it or not. That's not how they work. And the more that people strive to push themselves on them, the more they tend to withdraw and become reclusive. And I do know that for a fact, because my group is that way. If too many people come up to their area, they disappear. They'll stay gone for weeks, until they feel it's safe enough for them to come back, you know? And that being said, I had someone contact me the other day and ask me if I gave tours of their area. And I politely told them, no, I'm sorry, I don't do that. But what I was thinking at the time is, are you kidding me? How would you feel if someone decided to give tours of your yard? And, oh yeah, let's just walk into your living room while you're there, you know, and, oh, don't mind us, we're just going to look at your house and sit down and stare at you for a while, you know, and make sure that we understand, because we're doing a tour. You know, how inane is that? I thought that was just the craziest thing, you know, and I had to politely say, I'm sorry, I don't believe in doing that, you know, I can't do that, because that is in no way, shape, or form ever going to happen with me, you know. Have I taken people to meet them? Yes, I have. Have I brought people there to do a tour of their environment and their habitat, you know, their neighborhood? No, and I never would. I would never ask that of them. Why? Because they are people, and it's just wrong to do that. Okay, so I've done my part now. I've ranted and raved, and I've tried to make everyone understand, because people asked me to do another thing about Bigfoot so they could understand another aspect, and there's an aspect of them. You know, these beings actually do a wonderful, wonderful form of camouflage to make themselves unseen. And they have noticed that most humans, about 90% of us, are unaware. If they are unseen, we are unaware of them. And that's what they've learned to do with us. So they watch us and study us while we're out there trying to find them and study them. And these beings, these people, are so intelligent that they figured out in the long run, by watching us look for them, that some of us are not worth their time. And I think that's the important message I want to get across here. You, as a human being, have thoughts, emotions, and feelings, and you want to be respected. So do these people. They want to be respected. They have thoughts, emotions, and feelings as well. And I think that as humanity progresses and goes further and further into the woods to interact with these beings, we need to be on our best behavior to them. And I mean that seriously with all of my heart. If you want to have interaction with them, you have to show them that you're worthwhile to have interaction with. And I'm going to leave it at that. I thank everybody for listening to me. I really appreciate it. And if you like what you heard today, please hit the subscribe button. And like I said, I'm always open to suggestions. And today was just one of my rant days. And for that I apologize. But I really did want people to understand what they consider humans to be and associate us with. And I think we all want to be associated with the very best and not the very worst. So thank everybody. Have a good week.